All right, you guys, good morning, good morning, good morning. Let's go ahead and get in. If the other teachers would help me let everybody in, please and thank you. All right, so our do now is on the screen. Please, the expectations are over here in this box. Please make sure that you are following expectations. You're coming in on mute. Your cameras are on, and you have all of your materials. Here are our materials that you will need. And I'm going to set my timer for about 2 minutes while you guys get adjusted and settled in. Make sure your do now gets done and submitted. Put myself on mute. All right, you guys have about a minute left to get your do now submitted. Thirty seconds left. All right, so go ahead and wrap up your thoughts, submit your do nows. Spoon and I, will you please make sure? Yeah, thank you. Okay, so Ms. Witherspoon and Miss Anaya will send out a message to you if they see that your do now is not submitted within the next couple of minutes. And we are going to get started. All right, so today's lesson is in reference to point of view, right? So we're looking at like first person and third person point of view. And this is one of my favorite things because I feel like it's kind of easy, right? And it's something that you need to know, and you probably, you do it all the time and you don't really think about it. You speak in first or third person all the time and you don't even know what you're speaking because you haven't learned it yet, right? All right, so let's break down this part. So go ahead and go into your notes. I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to share it with you verbally, and then I will share my screen so that you can write down your notes. I have a question. Okay, come off mute. I didn't hear you. What did you say? Yes, your due now is due now. Yes, go ahead and submit it. All right. And if you have questions about that, you guys, again, I'm repeating, if you have questions about the do now, then you need to reach out to one of the other teachers on the line so that they can help you because we're starting class now. All right, so let's talk about point of view. So point of view is basically the narrator's position in the events occurring in the story, right? So First person point of view is a person in the story talking about themselves. So himself or herself. They're talking. They're talking and they use words like "I went to the park" or "Me and my friend did this" or "We like to do this." Right? Us. He left us outside, or something like our family does this. They're including themselves. Right? That's a first person. Okay. Third person point of view is when a person is talking about is telling a story, but they're not including themselves as a part of it. So they're talking about someone else, right? So they're using words like he went to the store. That didn't sit well with him. His dog got old. She did this. Her, they, them, their family reunion, right? So first person, the way that I remember it, right? Because sometimes when I was growing up, I had to think of like little riddles or little different ways to remember stuff, because there's a lot of stuff that has to go in this brain for testing and like life, right? So first person, me. I'm the first person for myself, right? So when I'm talking about first person, I'm talking about me. I'm first, right? Third person is the rest, right? That's how I remember it. I'm first person. Third person is those other people, right? Because you always want to be the number one. You always want to be the winner, so you're first, right? Okay, so that's how I remember that. You can come up with your own kooky, fun, or you might just be like a super genius and just be like, Miss Howard, I don't need any of that because I'm super smart. Whatever, right? All right, so what we are going to do to kind of break this down and basically you prove to me that you understand the concept is we are going to read the story. And then we're going to identify the narrator in the text. Who is the narrator? Who wrote this thing? Then we are going to identify and highlight pronouns that the narrator uses. So examples, I, me, we, us, right? Then we're going to identify and highlight pronouns the character uses that are, so basically pronouns of the first and third person is what we're going to be highlighting, okay? And then we are going to determine if the point of view is first or third person, right? So we're just kind of breaking down and going from there. So the first thing that we're going to do is get our vocabulary going. So I'm going to share my screen here, and it has first person, second person, which is basically told from the viewpoint of the narrator who addresses you, the person who's reading it. And then we have third person omniscient and third person objective. So I'm going to share. We're not really too much worried about those other ones today. We're going to focus on the first and third, but I want you to see them so that when we go further into this, you won't have questions about it. So here is my screen. I'm going to share it. I'm going to set my timer for about 5 minutes. Should be able to jot those down. Go ahead and get going. I see Cassie working super hard, getting those notes jotted down. I see Billy working really hard. Luna is like super focused. She has to put her glasses on. But go quickly because you got to come back and get your stuff done. There's about 3.5 minutes left. If you have questions, you should be using your hand raise icon, not just coming off of mute or sending one of the other teachers a message. Please do not come off of mute in my class. The next time that happens, it's going to be a teacher point. Two and a half minutes left. If you're done, just sit tight. About a minute and a half left. Minute left. Gaia, you got sent back? Why? All right, we got about 40 seconds left. And you guys don't worry, I'll tell you that in a second. All right, beautiful. So I just dropped this into the main chat, so you can take that and paste it into your notes at a later point. Not right now, because your eyeballs should be on me. So we're going to start out with a fun little exercise. I am going to share this screen with you now, and I want you to take about 30 seconds to look at the differences in the Alamo. So we have the Alamo from two different points of view, and we're going to look at the differences. So if the teachers will pick a couple of kiddos to tell me what the differences are. Okay, so tell me what you see as a difference between this view and this view of the Alamo. Okay, so one is coming from the front and one is from up top. Okay, yes. Okay, more, well, they both have trees, but yeah, it's different angles. Yeah, you're right. So my next question is, why do the views look different? It's the same thing, but why do they look different? Go ahead, pick, yeah. Exactly, good choice of words. They're different points of view, right? So one person might be looking at it head on, and that's their point of view. But if a helicopter is over up top and they're looking at the same thing, their view is different because they have a different point of view. Does that make sense now? Does it kind of mesh together, the understanding as to why people can have different points of view, right? Exactly. So if I walk up to the Alamo and I'm like, oh, this is super cool, I'm in front of it, I'm waiting to get in line, right? And like I said, a helicopter ride is showing people the same thing But are they going to see the exact same view that I have on the ground, on the floor in front of it? Thumbs up, thumbs down. Right. No, because they're looking at it from a different angle, right? They're looking at it from a different point of view. Oh, you like how I did that, right? Uh-huh. All right. So let's keep it pushing and get into Phantom Toll Booth. All right, so I want us to read chapter 5. And using the tools that we know, we are going to figure out which, you're not going to tell me, but we're going to figure out which point of view it is. Let's get, who wants to read? Oh, I might need my glasses. Let's get Santiago to start reading for us. You're going to read to this point right here. Go ahead. Okay, next person. Very good. April, will you read? Right here. Here. Mm-hmm. Go back to the beginning of the sentence. Okay. Yep, Paisley. All right, so let's pause for a cause there, right? So we've read that, and who can tell me what type of things we heard? So let's go back to our notes. Hold on. Anonymous Howard is not tech savvy. Okay, so let's look back at our vocabulary notes, right? And let's look at the first and third person. Now, we said that the first person uses words like I, me, my, we, our, us, and third person uses words like he, him, she, they, their. So, knowing what we know and what you just heard me say, what person do you think that this part is written in? Take about a minute. Actually, I'm just going to give you 30 seconds to think about it. And I want you to put your answers in the chat. The question again is, what point of view is this portion written in from the narrator? All right, I see your answers flowing in. Very good. All right, so I am going to read this for you. This is going to be a bit of independent practice for you, okay? It was early, way too early for John to be bounding out of bed. racing down the hallway and leaping onto his sleeping parents, but he did it anyway. He hurtled himself into his parents' quiet room, shouting, "It's my birthday! It's my birthday!" His mind was full of racing thoughts, enormous packages to open, monstrous slices of chocolate cake piled high with frosting, a house full of people visiting just for him. His mouth watered with the thought of birthday ice cream sundaes as he squeaked, "When do we eat cake? When do we open presents?" "That's a long way off, mister," his mother said. "Your party isn't until tonight, and we have plenty of things to do to get ready before your guests arrive. The first thing you should do is go wash up, and we can have some birthday pancakes." John pretended to grumble, but he was actually looking forward to some birthday flapjacks, hot off the griddle. Okay, so let's take a moment to think about this. I do not want you to answer anything out loud. This is the worksheet that I have posted under for assignments for independent practice. I want you to look in here, use your key that I have posted here in the chat. Use your vocabulary definition, and you are going to tell me the clues, right? This section right here is telling me clues that show you what person this is, what verbiage, what words were used to show you, is this third person or is this first person? How is this written? Over here, you're going to write it out. It says this is written in, and you're going to fill in the blank. What point of view? I know this because use your text evidence. You guys have been drilled in with text evidence for the past 2 years. Yep, don't make me get Ms. Brown on a call. So I know that you know how to use your text evidence, but what I want you to do to show your work, because we're not just going to stop there, we're going to prove it. We have a test to get ready for, right? I want you to use your highlighting key, and I'm going to remind you of how to use that in just a second, to highlight your proof. So you're going to highlight your clues. You're going to highlight how you know that it is this point of view. You're going to come up here, and this one right here, do you see where it's yellow? You're going to click that there, and then voila, it allows you to highlight, and you can choose the color. I really don't care if you change the color, that's fine. But for the next about 10 minutes, that is what you are going to work on. So before I release to go ahead and start working, Cammie, will you come off of mute and tell us what we are doing? Yes. All right, I'm gonna set my timer for 10 minutes. You guys go ahead and get started. And I will be checking in and pulling to our side chat to share your screen with me so I can see what you're working on. Same thing with the other teachers. So your camera needs to stay on while you're doing this, but you may make sure, or actually, I want you to make sure your mute button is off. That's what I'm trying to say. All right, go ahead and get started.